everybody, so today I'm going to go ahead and do a Valentine's Day nail design. The acrylic that I'm using to start off is the number 645 Dap Dip DND Acrylic. I'm using my red Iguana practice hand. This is in the shade Liza, or I guess practice finger I should say. I am trying a new method for gluing the tip to the practice finger. I'm hoping that this helps it be a lot more sturdy for when I file the tip at the end. I will let you know how I like it and show you guys how I did it in a different video if you're interested, but I want to make sure that it works and kind of play around with it first. So I'm going in with that first pink acrylic and I'm applying that to the tip of the nail. I applied a C-curve coffin tip to the end of this. I can't remember which one. I think it's a Kiara Sky one, but just any C-curve tip works fine. And I'm going to go ahead and just apply that to the bottom half of the nail, or I guess the top half, the tip of the nail, and I'm going to go ahead and blend that up towards the cuticle area. If you notice when I'm applying this color particularly, it is a lot more like chalky and it kind of sticks to the brush a lot more than some other acrylics that I've tried. I don't know if it's just this color because of its like neon nature. Neons tend to be a little more finicky, or if it's just the DND like acrylic formula. I'm gonna have to play around with that, but one way to combat this, because I have had this happen with other brands, is just to wipe your brush off often and to also use the beads a lot wetter. That just helps minimize the amount of acrylic that sticks to the brush, and really what I notice is it's not the acrylic sticking to the brush itself, it's actually more so the acrylic sticking to itself. So you'll have a little bit of acrylic that stays on the brush when you release the bead, and then that little bit of acrylic just kind of tracks it when you go to kind of blend it into place. So using a wetter bead and wiping off the brush quite often really helps, and I'm trying to apply this as thin as possible and kind of clean up the sides of the nail as much as I can to just help minimize filing later on. And then next I'm going to go ahead and use the Nude Blush Cover Color by Mia Secret. This one is one that I really like and I use quite often on myself. What I will say though is when I did start applying this, I just realized how much warmer of a nude and of a pink this is compared to the tip color that I use, that DND acrylic. If I was to do this again, I probably would use a more neutral to cool tone nude pink as my base color. It worked out fine for this. It ends up getting covered mostly anyway by the design, so it wasn't the end of the world, but to get like a nicer blend and so that it doesn't look like it clashes as much, I probably would recommend using a little bit of a more neutral to cool tone pink instead of a warmer pink like I'm using now. And also, if you were curious, the brush that I'm using is, I believe, a size 6 or a size 8. It's one of the random like Amazon no-name brand brushes. Very inexpensive. I actually don't remember which brand this was that I got it from. It works fine. They're very small brushes, obviously, so I tend to use them more so if I'm doing very detailed like acrylic work, or if I'm doing it like on just a single finger like a practice hand or a fill. I don't use these too often just because they are so small. And I feel like they are just a lot more difficult to use when doing a full nail. But I'm using this today because I'm doing that ombre and I'm only doing a single nail. So you can see, because of how small the brush is, I can take smaller beads and just really add them into more precise areas to get the cleanest or smoothest blend in that ombre as I possibly can. Not everybody loves to do this, but sometimes the ombre is just not super even, or some spots are more opaque than others, so I like to go back in with small beads and just try to even it out as much as I can. Once you have your ombre where you want it, you want to go in and encapsulate that. I'm using the Mia Secret clear acrylic, but any one works fine. when I do a practice hand nail, don't do a high apex either. So you'll notice that the acrylic that I'm applying right now is going to just kind of be an overlay, and it's going to just protect the ombre and just add a little bit of structure to kind of even out the nail, because obviously it's not going to be super even. That nude is going to come up just a little bit higher than that pink did, since I used just more of like a wash of acrylic for that hot pink. And so I got to even that out. So I'm going in with the clear mainly to even out the thickness and to cover the ombre. When you're doing practice hand nails, you can do it a couple different ways. Obviously, if you're doing it to practice for like doing on clients and things like that, you would want to practice your apex, just so that you make sure that you're getting that practice in, and you're kind of getting that muscle memory for when you're doing it on clients, because obviously clients, they wear their nails, you know, day to day, and there's like wear and tear, and they'll like bang them into things, and so you don't want them to break their nails, so you want to make sure that apex is done very well. But if you're doing a practice hand strictly for design, like I'm doing right now, because I mostly only do nails on myself, so I'm not necessarily practicing my apex right now, you can do it a little bit thinner. It helps you save on some product, and it helps you save on filing time, so you can get to the design of the nail and not have to worry so much about like the structure part. So it's really up to you, but I kept this a little thinner for that reason. So now I'm going in with this file I got from a random nail supply store that I like had passed by one day. I don't particularly like this file. I don't remember what brand it is, but these are not really the best. So I'm using this really for like my practice hand mostly, because I don't particularly like them on myself. But any file works for that works for you is fine. This one I believe is 100/180 grit, and I use the 100 side more than the 180. So I just go ahead and clean up the sides and kind of the tip of the nail, since this is a coffin shape, and then I'm going to go in with a fine carbide bit and my Chiara Sky nail drill, and I'm just going to go ahead and debulk the nail a little bit. I don't have a lot of debulking to do, because obviously, like I said, I didn't make this nail very thick to begin with. So a lot of this is just kind of smoothing out like areas to really get that arch in the shape, and also to smooth out the cuticle area. So it's not really taking down a whole lot of bulk, but I do prefer to use a fine grit whether I do a proper arch or not. I find that it just helps me, because it's very easy to accidentally take too much off, and if I use like a coarse grit carbide bit, I notice that I chance taking too much off a lot more. So I use a fine grit, and then once I take off my bulk, I go back in with my hand file, and I just kind of refine the shape a lot more. I find that it's easier for me to refine the shape with the hand file. I'm not super proficient with the e-file, because it is a little bit easier to hand file on yourself than it is to e-file, so I'm just used to doing that. If you use your e-file more often and you feel more comfortable with that, you can use it to take down a lot more of the bulk and really kind of shape out the nail, and just minimally use the hand file, but it's up to you, whatever works. And I'm flipping the nail around and trying to get all the angles that I can to really make sure that the nail is even. This is kind of difficult on the practice hand, and with the way that my like stand that holds the practice finger is set up, but I do try to, you know, turn it in different ways to get as many angles as I can. And then I'm just going in with a fine or medium grit sanding band. This is really just to smooth out the top of the nail. So you're not really using this to shape the nail at all. It's just to kind of smooth over the surface. The other thing is, I find that it helps me seal that cuticle even more than when I use the carbide bit. I find that sealing the cuticle with a hand file just leads me to like a lot of cuts and nicks along the cuticle. So I prefer to use this than to use the hand file, but it also, because it doesn't take off a lot of product, it's a lot easier to get that cuticle area a lot more flush with that than it is with the carbide bit. So that's why I go in with that. Then I'm going in with my Young Nails Mission Control Gel Paint. I believe this is in the shade Power Up. Don't quote me, I'll try to link it in the description if I can. It's just their red Mission Control Gel Paint, and I'm using that with their, I believe this is the Micro Detailer brush by Young Nails as well. And with this design, I actually made a few mistakes. I would probably do it a little different. So you can see I have a glitter set off to the side there. I ended up sugaring this over, I believe, the lip design that I'm doing right here. I would not do this first if I was to redo this design. I completely forgot that I wanted to sugar the glitter over the design. And when you do a sugar method, you don't go in and top coat after. You essentially lay the sugaring or the glitter into the wet gel, cure it, and then that's it. You just brush off any excess and kind of go about your day. So when you do a sugar method, you want to top coat and do any designs that need to be top coated first, and then go in with the design that needs to be sugared. It just makes it easier for you. Otherwise, you either have to go around all of the designs that are sugared or risk kind of ruining it and going over it with top coat. So you'll see later on in the video what I mean by that, but I'm just gonna go in and do those kind of lip designs that I see all the time for Valentine's Day, and I've never tried, so I wanted to go ahead and do that. So I kind of just did like a little like wave or M for the top lip and just connected the two lines and filled it in. For the bottom, I kind of just did like a half circle and again connected the two lines and then went ahead and filled that in. So it's very simple to do the lip design. It doesn't have to be perfect. They don't have to all match. It's really fun to kind of play around with designs like this because although they're a lot more precise, you don't have to worry about getting things too perfect. So once that's done, I go ahead with that glitter. I haven't cured the gel. I lay that over the wet gel and then cure it to hold the glitter in place. Now I'm going in and I'm doing kind of lettering designs. You can go ahead and do a specific font if that's what you want. I am not super proficient in that quite yet, so I'm just going to go ahead in my own handwriting and write the word love. I'm sorry that the angle wasn't perfect for this. I actually didn't realize that I had it turned more to myself, so you couldn't see kind of the start of the lettering, but really all it is just kind of writing the letters out. Obviously if you're doing a font, you want to try to follow what the rules are for that font to get the letters to be even and to kind of stay within that same style, but since I'm just using my own handwriting, I am just going in and writing the letters as I normally would. You can go ahead too if you want with like a pencil or something to just mark up the nail and write out the lettering before you go in with the gel. It's up to you. The only thing that I would just caution is if you're using a color that is very light or translucent, you just want to make sure that you're not etching out or kind of sketching it in a dark color or using too much of that pencil marking, because then you'll see it through the gel. If you use a dark color or something very opaque, it doesn't really matter, but just kind of a forewarning if you choose to go that route. I just kind of freehand did it. I just figured that would be easier for me. Then I'm using a dotting tool and I'm going to go ahead and do some hearts. So doing hearts is really simple. All you do is take a little bit of that gel color on a dotting tool, do 2 dots next to each other, and then connect it with a V, and you'll see I'll do that. I did accidentally touch the top one, so I have to go ahead and fix that, and that's no big deal. I didn't cure in between. You can if you are worried about messing it up. This I wasn't too worried about, and it's such a simple design that it doesn't take long to fix if you need to. So cure if you want to, otherwise just go through, finish up your design, and do a final cure at the end. So you can see here I'm doing that V, so you just connect the 2 dots and fill them in, and you get perfect hearts every time. So if you are struggling with doing heart designs, try out using this method with the dotting tool. It really helps you out, and you can get different size hearts and really play around with it, so it makes it a lot quicker and a lot easier. I also wanted to say that I am hoping in the future to be able to get a macro lens so that when I do close-up shots like this, they are a lot more in focus. I am hoping to get monetized to be able to invest some money back into my equipment, but YouTube changed their rules a couple years back. You need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours to be able to get monetized. So please help me out and reach that goal so that I can move forward and get better equipment and invest in that. I am a little over halfway to my subscriber count, but I do need a lot more watch hours. So if you can help me out, play my videos, even if it's just in the background while you're getting ready or cleaning the house, it would be much appreciated. Also, subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and like this video and comment to just help bring up my engagement. It would mean the absolute world to me, because I would love to be able to pour more back into this channel than I already have. So just to kind of jump back to the design, I'm finishing up with that top coat. Like I said, since I did the sugaring in the beginning, I just have to be precise and kind of go around it. If you do it at the end, you don't have to worry about this. That is the end of this design. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you have a wonderful Valentine's Day. Again, please like this video, comment below, and subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more from me. It really, truly means a lot. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody.